Hello everyone and welcome to a very nice game from round 5 of this year's Grand Chess Tour SuperUnited Croatia Rapid Tournament, Gukesh versus Vidit Gujrathi. And for those of you who have seen it, I'm sure you guys would appreciate us showing a line or two from this game. And for those of you who haven't, well, I envy you as you are in for a treat in this one. Now, in their head-to-head score so far, Gukesh is in the lead in Classical and Rapid. Both in Classical, they played 4 games, 3 were drawn, and Gukesh won 1 game. But in Rapid, it's, I think, 6 draws, and Gukesh won 6 games, Vidit won 2. So it's, again, a good opportunity for Vidit to get some points back from Gukesh. So let's check it out. Really crazy game, and well, the fun starts already on move 14. So let's check it out. We have pawn to e4 by Gukesh, pawn to e5, knight f3, knight to c6, and now g3, the Konstantinopolsky variation that we don't see very often. We have knight to f6, d3, and bishop to c5, bishop to g2, pawn to d6, and both players castle. We have castles, pawn to h3, pawn to a5, and there are some games where a3 and knight to c3 was played, but here we have pawn to c4, claiming that d5 square, and it is now, as of move 8, that we have a completely new game. Okay, we have h6 by Vidit, knight to c3, and knight to h7, making room for that f pawn to be pushed forward. King to h2, getting rid of the king from this diagonal. Also, the h3 pawn will be defended if, let's say, you put the bishop here and queen here, so you don't have to worry about that. And it's a pretty standard idea. We have pawn to f5, e captures, bishop captures, and now bishop to e3. Countering the dark square bishop, queen to d7, and we have a trade on c5. Bishop captures, pawn captures, and this is where the fun happens. It seems that Gukesh's d3 pawn is hanging, and Gukesh just plays knight to h4. He goes after Vidit's bishop on f5, and he spent, well, I would say 0 time, but he did spend some 10 seconds on this move, and it could be a blunder. Did he just blunder the d3 pawn, or did he have something tricky behind Vidit's idea of maybe even capturing this pawn? And Vidit really spent his time here. He spent some 8 minutes deciding on whether to capture the pawn or not, and he decided to do it. There are many moves you could play here. You could bring the rook into the game, you could put centralize your knight on d4, you could bring this knight to g5, but he played queen captures on d3, and this move loses the game if you play it well. So feel free to pause the video and try to figure out what Vidit missed while I give you a couple of seconds. It seems like there's no way to trap the queen. Whatever you try, I mean, the queen will just move. There's the entire d file that the queen can use to retreat. However, there is a way for you to close the d file, and that is bishop to d5 check. This is what Gukesh played, and now the queen has nowhere to go. King to h8 was played, and now queen to e1. And now, if you look at it, all of the squares have been taken away from the black queen. Once rook 8 to d1 lands, that's it. d4 will be taken, d3 will be attacked. There's no square for this queen. So Vidit has to decide whether to resign here or try to take something away from Gukesh for the price of a queen. So he plays pawn to g5. He will take the knight and rook for the queen and also open up the g file, maybe to attack that white king on h2. Okay, rook to d1. Gukesh goes after the queen. We have queen captures on f1, queen captures, and g captures on h4. So now, objectively, Gukesh is completely winning, but this is rapid chess. There is little time on the clock. Let's see how the game continues. We have queen e2, putting pressure on that e5 pawn, and h captures on g3 check. F captures pawn to e4 now. We have bishop captures on c6. Of course, Gukesh, being up on material, he prefers trading, as you always should if the position allows. B captures, and now queen to h5, going after the h6 pawn. So rook f6, and now pawn to g4. We have bishop to g6 attacking the queen, and for some reason, Gukesh does not go after the pawn. It's a free pawn, and you should capture it, but you know, little time on the clock. Better to start grabbing on the queen side. Queen captures on c5. Now knight to g5. We have pawn to h4, knight f3 check, king to g3, and rook to e8. And if you look at Vidit's pieces now, everything is defended. The knight is defended, the pawn is defended by the bishop, the rook is defended by the bishop, the bishop is defended by the rook. So everything is defended. Okay, this rook is not, but you can always play something like rook f7, king to g7. And where are the targets for Gukesh? Well, he should play rook d7. That's the strongest move and one of the few winning ones that he has. The other one being rook to f1. But rook d7, point being that if you can't advance the pawn just yet, because if you do it, rook e7, and that's the problem. And you cannot move this rook to help out because then the knight hangs. So yeah, not the easiest solution, but you have to find it if you want to win. Queen to e3 was played by Gukesh, and he spent a lot of time here. You can see he's down to 30 seconds on the clock, and that's not the worst of his problems. He's attacking the h6 pawn, bishop to h7, defending with the rook. We have knight to e2, and now knight to e5. We have queen to c5, and rook to f3 with check. We have king to g2, and knight captures on g4. Seems like Vidit is on the attack now, and the only way to continue is queen to d4 check. But rook to d7 was played first, and now Vidit is completely winning. He goes for rook to g8. And okay, what can you do now? We could try. What's the threat here? Is there a threat? There are some nasty discoveries being threatened here. So let's say we just move the king. Well, the problem is knight f2 check, king h2, and now rook to h3 checkmate. And you have to do something about this. Queen to d4 check by Gukesh. Knight to f6, blocking while discovering a check to the white king, and now king to h2. And now it is Vidit who is completely winning, but finding this move is easier said than done. Feel free to pause the video and win the game for Vidit while I give you a couple of seconds. For those of you who were able to do it, congratulations on seeing 30 moves ahead. And for those of you who just want to enjoy the show, it is pawn to c5. But it's really one of those moves where you have to see one move ahead, but also 30 moves ahead, which is also probably why Vidit didn't play it. Yes, it's winning, but I will show you what you have to see. So the only square for the queen to keep an eye on the black king and keep pinning this knight, not to allow knight to g4 check, is queen e5. And this is what comes next. Rook f2 check, king to h1, and now pawn to e3. Preparing, of course, bishop to e4 check. So how do you stop this? There's no good way to do it. Or okay, you don't have to go king to h1, you can go king to h3, but then just bishop f5 and it's game over. So that's why king h1. Now e3, freeing up this e4 square for the bishop. Knight to g3, guarding this, and now pawn to e2. And now look at this. You could even play rook captures on h7 check, king captures, and now just gobble up the pawn. So it seems like, okay, you have nothing to worry about here. There's no checkmate, and you might even be winning here. But look at this. Rook f1 check, king to h2, knight to g4 check with the fork. And now after the king moves, you don't even have to capture the queen. There's an even cleaner way to do it. Knight e3 check, you guarded the rook. King h3, and now rook to h1 check. Queen to h2 only move. And now you capture, captures, and you also pick up the knight. And that's it. Now you have a knight and a rook. Your opponent has nothing, of course, completely winning. But yeah, you have to see a lot. In the game, e3 was played right away. It seems like a good addition. Maybe c5 is coming next, but you also free up d4 square for the bishop, and you have your pawn already on e3. So if anything, it could be an improvement, but here comes rook to e7. And of course, the position is still winning for Vidit. It's just much harder to win. And now comes rook to f2 check. The way to win this was rook to g4, or follow up with c5. But here, rook to f2 check, king to h1, and now there is no more way to win this. The problem is now if you go for something like rook to g4, it doesn't really work. You will capture on e3, and after rook captures on h4, king to g1, and there is no more there is no finishing move here. You cannot play this, as now the rook hangs. So it just doesn't work. So after king h1, rook to f1 check was played. We have king to h2, and now Vidit plays pawn to c5, but it is now very much different. Queen to c3 and rook to f2 check. We have king to h1. If king to h3, bishop f5 is mate in 1, so of course you cannot play that. King to h1, and here the players did not go for a 3-fold repetition, rather they went for a 7-fold repetition. They repeated the position 7 times. I guess neither of them were too eager to seek a draw, because first Gukesh was winning, then Vidit was winning, and they were just playing these two moves, hoping that the other guy, will do something really weird and lose the game. But of course, neither of them didn't. And it was in this position on move 51 that Gukesh and Vidit agreed to a draw, as there is nothing more to be done here. They claimed it on a 7-fold repetition. So that's why Rapid is a beautiful time format. Vidit blunders the queen. He's dead lost, but it's a complicated position. Then it's Gukesh who blunders his position. He's dead lost, but the position is too complicated. And in the end, after such a glorious battle, a well-deserved draw. So now, you're happy you didn't lose, but I feel both of them will be much happier if they won. I mean, of course, that's true for any game, but especially for one where you were winning. And especially, when you blunder your queen and you end up in a winning position and then you don't win it, I'm guessing Vidit will feel very angry with himself, especially since he was 0 out of 4 going into this round. He was 0 out of 4. He blunders the queen in round 5, and he has a chance to win, but he doesn't. But okay, he breaks the losing streak. So that's something. And okay, we can also check out the standings after 5 rounds have been played. It is Fabiano Caruana in the lead with 8 points, followed by Wesley So with 7, Nepo, MBL, and Alireza with 6, Gukesh with 5, Anish and Levon with 4, Ivan Charic with 3, and Vidit currently on only 1 point. That is that one draw against Gukesh. So yeah, that's the game. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Always be careful. If you win your opponent's queen, or if you blunder your queen, it's not the end of the game. I would like to thank Michael Hoff, Lawrence Brazier, Edward Bazo, the Kevin O'Grady, and James Eugene Cashman for your contribution to my channel. Thank you a lot. I really appreciate it. As usual, you can check 2 of my previous videos here. Thank you for watching, and I will see you soon. Continuing to check up on your wonderful suggestions, but mostly covering the Grandchester SuperUnited Croatia tournament until it finishes. So thank you all. I will see you soon, and have an excellent rest of your day.